There you go.
Okay, shalom, everybody. Chag Sameach. Welcome to Rosh Hashanah Note Seder. And this is the new year for trees, the birthday of trees. And it's the time when trees are judged. Unfortunately, they haven't been doing too well recently and been cut down, destroyed many, many years. Unfortunately, it used to be 6 trillion trees. Now it's only about 3 trillion. Many have burned down, wildfires in California, many other places. Hopefully, in this Tu B'Shvat Seder, we can think of ways we can make changes and improve that. I want to thank Jesse Wilson for hosting this. And I think if you can share the screen, Jesse, we can get started on that. We have 10 pages of sources, far more than we can cover it all, but we'll try to cover the main ones. Okay, so a little bit of history. Tu B'Shvat is not mentioned in the Torah, it's not mentioned in the Tanakh, the Jewish writings like the Psalms and Proverbs, first mentioned in the Mishnah. And okay, so we want to read about it. There's actually 4 New Years. So Fran, if you can get started, would you please read the upper left about the 4 New Years?
Okay. There are 4 New Years. The first of the month of Nisan is the New Year for counting the reign of Jewish monarchs and for fulfilling your vows to the temple. You want me to read all 4?
Yeah, might as well.
The first of the month of Elul is the New Year for assessing your teeth of animals. Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Simeon say it is on the first of Tishri. The first of the month of Tishri is the new year for calendar years, for sabbatical years, for jubilee years, for counting the age of your food trees, and for assessing your tithe of vegetables. The first of the month of Shvat is the new year for assessing your tithe of tree, fruit, and nuts, per the school of Shammai. The school of Hillel says it's on the 15th of Shvat, Tu B'Shvat.
Okay, so notice from Rosh Hashanah in the Mishnah, chapter 1, verse 1. Interesting. You see, it's really a Jewish holiday, so that was a dispute between Shammai and Hillel. And as generally happens, Hillel wins out, so it is the 15th day of the month of Shabbat. This little mention on the second one, the month of Elul, the new year, processing the tithes of animals, actually for sacrifices. And one of the things I'm trying to do, and others are working with me on this, is just as Tu B'Shvat Seder was reinstalled by the Kabbalistic Shabbat in the 16th century, when I'm working with others to try to restore that ancient Jewish New Year for animals, but to not only restore it, but to transform it into a day devoted to increasing awareness of Jewish teachings on compassion for animals and how far the realities for animals are from these Jewish teachings. Matter of fact, a couple of summers ago, I had an ebook published called Restoring and Transforming the Ancient Jewish New Year for Animals, an idea whose time has come. So it's, as I said, not mentioned in the Torah, not mentioned in Tanakh, but in the Torah there are indications of why it is. It's actually similar to January 1st for the taxes in the secular world, a time for tithing that separates the time for the tithing of trees from one year to the next. So to reinforce that idea, number 3, and Jesse, if you could read that number 3 for us, bottom right.
Yes. You shall set aside every year a 10th part of all the yield of the sowing that is brought from the field. Then the Levite and the stranger, the fatherless and the widow in your settlement shall come and eat their fill, so that the Lord your God may bless you all the enterprises you undertake.
Okay, so that's a basic idea. It's like a separation day. And I want to discuss number 4, because that is very important. It's not correctly on this. That's very important for Tu B'Shvat. Tu B'Shvat, to a large extent, was patterned on the Passover Seder. And as you know, 4 is very important there. There's 4 children, 4 questions, and let's see, what else?
4 cups of
And
water.
of course, 4 cups of grape juice. So actually, in the Pesach Seder, all the cups are red, but in the Tu B'Shvat Seder, the colors vary from all white, and which represents the winter. So we have difference in the seasons here. This is Pesach represents the holiday of spring. Tu B'Shvat represents all the various seasons. So the first cup, as I said, all white, representing the winter. Second cup is mostly white, just a little bit of red that represents the spring. And the third cup is roughly half and half, half red and half white. And then we're moving into the summer. And the final one is almost all red, but with just a little drop of white. So this is right again, the number 4, the Kabbalist of Safat, who restored the holiday. Of course, in the year 70 in a common era, unfortunately, the temple was destroyed, no longer necessary for tithing to the temple, etc. And Tu B'Shvat became a relatively minor holiday. But then in the 16th century, the Kabbalists of Safat, mystical people, reinstored it and developed the Tu B'Shvat Seder, that we're continuing that tradition. Tu B'Shvat Seder, we'll see many fruits, many brachot, great concentration, kavanah. Okay, so in the Tu B'Shvat Seder, there's 4 mystical years. These are Haseya, and Yitzhak, Bria, and Atzilut. Each one is meant to get people closer to Hashem, to God. And not only are there 4 cups of grape juice, but there are also 4 fruits related to the various mystical years. And we'll go through this step by step later, but I was just pointing out 4 fruits. The first fruit has an outer shell, and we'll show examples of that later. The second one, no outer shell, but an inner pit. And the third one has neither a shell, an outer shell or a pit. And the fourth one is just like an emanation or a smell. And maybe we can get the cinnamon mushroom for that. Okay. And number 4 again is super important. In a way, Tu B'Shvat represents tikkun, that is restoring, improving, transforming positively. The first tikkun is that from the days of the Mishkan, the days of the temple, and as we said, it's like a tax day. So this is a tikkun for the poor, to their poverty. The second tikkun is represented by, as we said, the Kabbalists restoring the holiday, many fruits eaten, and that sort of represents a tikkun for the sin in the Garden of Eden, eating the forbidden fruit. The third tikkun, many years later, is when the Halutzim, the pioneers, came back to Israel. They planted trees, and this, after many years of neglect, that was a tikkun restoring things better to the environment of Israel. And the fourth tikkun is really in modern times, where many Jews, many environmentalists, are making Tu B'Shvat like a New Year, an Earth Day, like an Earth Day, Jewish Earth Day, and that it's making quite a difference. One other thing about the number 4, it's sort of an indication of why Tu B'Shvat, why the 15th of the month. 4 things are happening. First, the ground is starting to warm up. Sap is starting to flow in the trees. The heavy rain has disappeared. And the 4th thing, trees are starting to blossom. The first tree is the Yami tree. So that is what is happening. Okay, so now we're going to get ready for the first cup of grape juice or wine, and again, all white. So if you could move to the next page, Jeffrey. Many thanks. Okay, and pardon the unlining, it was a bad habit I had years ago, and then I copied this. And that. Okay, so the thing is, we're ready for the first cup of white wine, and one important thing in addition to eating all the foods, that the Kabbalists thought, then restoring it in the 16th century, had believed that the concentration Kabbalah was very important. And so we're going to see the importance of blessings. So let's see, we want to get somebody else into the act. Doug, could you read number 1, the upper left on this page? Yeah. Okay. So I don't know if Doug would be able to do that. Let's
Okay,
see.
no, it's okay, no.
Okay. So number 1,
No.
upper left. Then
Doug is saying he's not up for reading. If
Yeah.
Alfred wants to read, otherwise I'm happy to read it, read more. It's up to you. Mhm.
Okay, so if you could read that, Fran, thank you. Number 1.
Number 1, our rabbis taught that it's forbidden for you to enjoy the use of something in this world without first reciting a blessing. Anyone who enjoys something in this world without a blessing has misappropriated sacred property. Rabbi Levi proposed a problem. It is written, the earth is the Lord's and all that it holds. And it is also written, the heavens belong to the Lord, but the earth was given over to human beings. Isn't there a contradiction here regarding the earth? No, the first verse applies to the situation that exists before reciting a blessing, and the second verse after reciting a blessing.
Yeah. Okay, so again, very important in terms of blessing. And Jesse, if you could read number 2, please.
The most important discipline of Judaism involves the blessing. When a blessing is recited before eating, then the act itself becomes a spiritual undertaking. Through the blessing, the act of eating becomes contemplative exercise. Just as one can contemplate a flower or a melody, one can contemplate the act of eating. One opens one's mind completely to the experience of chewing the food and feels the awareness with the taste and texture of the food. One then eats very slowly, aware of every nuance of taste. Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan.
Okay, so again, you see tremendous importance of this. I always like to quote my favorite rabbi, Abraham Joshua Heschel. He said one of the great dangers of Judaism is taking things for granted, doing things without consciousness. And the blessings, of course, are aiming to prevent that. And he says we should look at the world in terms of awe, wonder, and radical amazement. And again, not taking things for granted. We always like to quote, there's a verse from the show, The Flower Drum Song, goes like this: 100 million miracles are happening every day, and those who don't agree are those who cannot hear or see. Okay, so I have that, what poured in, first glass and all. So already if you say blessing on that, if you have grape juice wine, please feel free to sing along with me. So, and again, with great consciousness, great kavanah. Further taught in the oil, him up Hagofen, nervously. Okay, so drinking the first cup. And that represents winter and part of the first mythical world of the Kabbalists. Okay, now we're ready also for the first fruit. As I mentioned, that is going to be a fruit without an outer shell. And the thing is, there, as we do this, we can maybe consider, is there an outer factor that's keeping us away from God? Can we break through? It's just as we break through the outer shell of the fruit. And I have a number of examples here. I have, let's see, some almonds, some walnuts, and clementina. Ideally, the best fruit would be pomegranate, because that's one of the 7 species. Living here in the senior citizen 7, wasn't able to get it, but that's an example. So here too, saying the blessing as much kavanah, consciousness as possible. Look at Jordan Elohim of Ram, Bore, Peri, Agafen. I'm a trader. Been on. Okay, so whether you move on, next page, some statements about trees. Maybe I would just do the first one. Think that I shall never see a poem lovely as a tree. Trees with hungry mouths pressed against the earth with flowing breath. Tree that looks at God all day, lifts her leafy arms to pray. Tree that made in summer wear nest of robins in her hair, upon whose bosom snow has lain, who intimately live with rain. Poems are made by fools like me, that only God can make a tree. George Tillman. And there's a takeoff on that, I think maybe from Ogden Nash. It goes like this. Think that I shall never see a billboard lovely as a tree. In fact, if billboards soon don't fall, I'll never see the tree at all. Okay, so we have a lot of quotes here. Don't have time for all of them. Okay, can you raise it up a bit, Jesse? The call on somebody. Jesse, if you could read number 4, appreciate it.
Yeah. When you come into the land, you shall plant. The Holy One said to Israel, even though you will find the land full of goodness, don't say, we will sit and not plant. Rather, be careful to plant trees, just as you found trees, which others had planted, so you should plant for your children. No one should say, I am old, how many more years shall I live? Why should I be troubled for the sake of others? Just as he found trees, he should add more planting, even if he is old. Midrash Tanchuma, Kedoshim 8.
Okay, thank you very much. And now if you can scroll down a little more to the bottom. Okay, yes, President Emeritus of Jewish Veg and author of Vegan Revolution, Saving the World, Revitalizing Judaism. I'll read this. And by the way, if anybody wants more information, I have over 300 articles and links to several of my books at jewish-vegan.org. So feel free to take a look at that and more information. So I'm reading this because this is God's first dietary law, chapter 1 of Revelation, right at the beginning, the very first chapter of the Torah, God's first dietary regimen. So God said, see, I've given you every seed-bearing plant that is upon all the earth, and every tree that has seed-bearing fruit, they shall be yours for food. And to all the animals on the land, to all the birds of the sea, and to everything that creeps on earth, in which there is a breath of life, I give all the green plants for food. So again, God's original intention was that human beings be vegetarians, even vegans. And that's consistent with science is finding that we are much closer as human beings to herbivorous animals than the carnivorous. If you look at our hands, our teeth, of course, fall from that of omnivores or carnivores, and our stomach acid is only 1/20th as strong as that of omnivorous or carnivorous animals. So the first, and actually, in the beginning, the ideal time, the Garden of Eden, but in the future ideal time, the Messianic period, that will also be the vegan period. That's based on the teaching of Isaiah chapter 11, verses 6 to 9, where it says, the wolf will devour the lamb, the lion will destroy the ox, no one shall hurt nor destroy in all of God's holy mountains. So this is God's intention, and this is consistent with Jewish teachings to take care of our health, to treat animals with compassion, to protect the environment, to conserve natural resources, and help the hungry, and seek and pursue peace. And we'll be talking later on to the end and how important shifts to vegetarian vegan diets are in order to avert a climate catastrophe and other environmental problems. Okay, so ready for fourth page, I think. Okay. And it's fruit as a metaphor, and many examples of that. Okay, so number one, Alfred, if you could read that, appreciate it. I see my wonderful daughters on. So Susan, if you could read that, please. Number one on the upper left.
If it's hard for Susan to, oh, there's Susan.
Okay, Fran, you could read that. Number one on the top.
Susan, I think you're reading, but you're muted.
Oh, was it accidentally?
Susan is muted.
No,
There she goes.
Got it, I got it. Sorry. What am I reading, number one?
Yeah.
Okay, the sages compare the entire nation of Israel scattered all over the world after the destruction of the second temple to the useful tamar. Like the date palm of which none is wasted, its fruit are for eating, its branches are for blessing, its fronds for thatching, its fibers are for rope, its webbing for sieves, its thick trunks for building, and so it is with Israel. Every soul has its purpose. From Bereshit Rabbah 41.
Couple of things, look, in terms of the things about trees, one thing I'd like to consider for a while is the many, many benefits we get from trees, things that we often take for granted. So I just have a list here, and maybe certainly fruit, and that's there's a tuber spot. On very hot days with the world getting hotter and headed and hotter, certainly very important that we have shade. Trees give us shade, keep us a little bit cooler. And of course, very important, one thing we need, oxygen. And the trees absorb carbon dioxide, and again, it's super, super important, of course. And of course, the carbon dioxide has been rising so much, but having the trees absorbing some of the carbon dioxide is very important. And also, they give us oxygen, life-giving oxygen. And then, of course, there's the beauty of trees, and the animals, birds, nests, and the other animals depend on it. And of course, if I look at the notes I have here, wood and paper, other products, maple syrup, very important that they hold the soil together. And in places like in California, where there's tremendous amount of wildfires, very often when the rains come, it could be mudslides because less and less trees. And then they prevent flooding, they give us paper, so we have many things. Therefore, the homework assignment for everybody is within 2 weeks, if possible, to hug a tree, because we get so much benefit from it. And this was so important. I went out in the forest to see if I could get a perspective from a tree. And doing that, I met the famous Lorax, I know you may be familiar with that, a wonderful story by Dr. Seuss. Because Lorax said, I speak for the trees, and in that wonderful book, unfortunately, for profit and all, trees destroy. Okay, anyway, let's see if I have it. I finally found a tree to speak to, and here is what it gave us tremendous advice. So here are some of these things this tree told me. It says, stand tall and be proud. And its views, of course, important things as well. Go out on a limb, reach for the sky. And again, the trees follow their own advice on this. Branch out, stay grounded. Remember your roots. Drink plenty of water, good advice all the time. Get rid of dead wood. Never stop growing. Turn over a new leaf. Okay, see what this bird told me. And okay, so getting back to tree as a metaphor. Okay, number 5. Maybe I'll read that. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land with streams and springs and fountains, issuing from plains and hills, a land of wheat and barley, of vines, figs, and pomegranates, a land of olive trees and honey. So again, these are the famous 7 species. Ideally, you should be eating all of them. Don't have them all handy, but we have some. And maybe we take a short change now, and the second cup of grape juice or wine, as I said, that will be white with just a little bit of bread. Just a little bit of bread. Again, that represents one of the 4 seasons of the as the story, the Kabbalist, and Pesach, the holiday of spring, Tu B'Shvat, of all the seasons. Okay. Now, unlike Pesach, we don't say the blessing as Tu B'Shvat Seder before each one. In Pesach is all, each one related to a biblical verse. Okay, so I'm going to be drinking the second cup of grape juice. No blessing this time. And now we're ready for the second fruit. And that is one with a pid. And this time we do have one from the 7 species. So I'm going to have a date now in the blessing, but appreciation of the wonderful fruits that Hashem has given in this world that keep us in very good health. Okay. I have something else on my screen. Okay, everybody seeing the screen? Still looks Jeffrey? Uh-oh, what happened? Did I lose? I'm trying to find out. Okay, I'm gonna try to sign on again. Oh, yeah, I'm back on it. Okay, everybody still hearing me? Yeah. Okay. So
We can.
You hear me okay? Okay, so then on this page, number 3, and we have on here, I'm just looking, okay, Susan, if you could read number 3 for us, please, on this page. That
You
is,
want me to read? I'm not
no.
hearing you so well. Number 3,
number 3, the top one, on the right side, number 3, second one down.
the land must be sold. The land must not be sold.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
land must not be sold beyond reclaim, for the land is mine. You are but strangers resident with me. Throughout the land that you hold, you must provide for its redemption.
Okay, let me click on, okay, now on page 4, actually, more quotes about trees. Okay, so, maybe I'll read number 1. Rabbi Eliezer ben Zariah, the Talmudic sage of the 1st century Common Era, said, anytime our wisdom exceeds our good deeds, to what are we likened? To a tree whose branches are numerous, but whose roots are few. Then the wind comes and uproots it and turns it upside down. When our good deeds exceed our wisdom, to what are we likened? To a tree whose branches are few, but whose roots are numerous. Even if all the winds in the world were to come and blow against it, it could not budge it from the place. So again, trees used as an analogy and related to nature. Okay, so the next one is like red, is number 4. Okay, so Fran, I know she had to leave. Are you still with us, Fran? Okay, how about Jesse? Number 4, please.
Yeah.
This is one of the most.
You make springs gush forth in torrents. They make their way between the hills, giving drink to all of the wild beasts. The wild asses slake their thirst. The birds of the sky dwell beside them, and sing among the foliage. You make the grass grow for the cattle and the herbage for human labor, that people may get food from the earth, wine that cheers human heart, oil that makes the face shine, and bread that sustains human life. The trees of the Lord drink their fill, the cedars of Lebanon, God's own planting, where birds make their nests. The stork has her home in the junipers, the high mountains are for wild goats, the crags are a refuge for rock badgers.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, one of the most powerful teachings on the environment, the trees, etc. And I want to add one thing now, something that was in the Parsha, the Shalach that we just had, and with a very important lesson from trees. There were so many dramatic things happening, all the 10 plagues of crossing the Red Sea. And after that, then the song from Moshe and Miriam, of course. Then it's like, it seems like almost a throwaway line. It says, and then Bnei Israel came to a place called Elim, and there were 10 springs of water and 70 palm trees. And you might wonder, why they're telling us this. It looks almost like maybe Bnei Israel needs a holiday to all after those dramatic things. But Rabbeinu Bachya had a very important lesson from this. You can probably guess. He said 12 springs would really represent what? The 12 tribes from Israel. And 70 palm trees representing the then 70 nations of the world. And he said, just as the 12 springs nourished the 70 palm trees, Bnei Israel, which is then 12 tribes, nourished or really supported and improved and would then the 17 then nations of the world. So many, many lessons that we get from that. So let's see. Maybe one more on here. Many, many lessons from trees. Okay, so once again, Susan, if you could read number 5. Okay, Fran, how about you?
Number 5, okay. Two people were once fighting over a piece of land. Each claimed ownership and each bolstered the claim with apparent proof. After arguing for a long time, they agreed to resolve their conflict by putting the case before a rabbi. The rabbi sat as an arbitrator and listened carefully, but despite years of legal training, the rabbi could not reach a decision. Both parties seemed to be right. Finally, the rabbi said, since I cannot decide to whom this land belongs, let's ask the land. The rabbi put an ear to the ground and after a moment stood up. My friends, the land says it belongs to neither of you, but that you belong to it.
Okay, take out a for all the readers. And okay, so I think we move on now to the next page 6. And these are the stories all involving trees. First one is a bit long, so maybe I'll sort of summarize it. You're probably familiar with this, the importance of Honi, a very important Jewish leader and teacher. And Honi was walking the field one day. He saw a farmer planting a tree. He asked the farmer what kind of tree, and it's a carob tree. And he says, how long before you'll be able to get fruit from this tree? The farmer said, 70 years. So Honi said, are you healthy enough so that you'll still be alive 70 years from now to enjoy these fruits? And the farmer responded, just as my ancestors planted seeds for me, I am planting it for my children, grandchildren, future generations. That's a very, very important Jewish teaching considering future generations. And it says, Azahu Hashem, and one of the responses is, Haroah et Hanolad, somebody who can foresee the future and take that into account and act so that we will have a better future. Okay, Yossi, maybe if you could read number 3 on the upper right.
Yeah. Once, when Rav Abraham Isaac Kook was walking in the field, Lost deep in thought, the young student with him inadvertently plucked a leaf of a branch. Rav Kook was visibly shaken by this act, and turning to his companion, he said gently, "Believe me when I tell you, I never simply pluck a leaf or a blade of grass or any living thing unless I have to." He explained further, "Every part of a vegetable world is singing a song and breathing forth a secret of the divine mystery of recreation." For the first time, the young student understood what it means to show compassion to all creatures.
Okay, so it's important to recognize somebody being destroyed, nature being destroyed, climate change, etc. Let's do whatever we can to help prevent that and improve it. Now, number two is a long one, but I think it's a very valuable lesson if you ever want to give a blessing to somebody. So let's see, Susan, if you could read number two, appreciate it.
Yeah, but at the moment, I'm going down to that. It will be done.
Okay.
I can read it if Susan's not available. As a matter of fact, Susan once shared this with me because my daughter's name is Ilana, and I used it at my speech during her bat mitzvah. Rabbi Naaman once asked Rabbi Isaac to bless him as they were saying goodbye. Rabbi Isaac replied, "Let me give you a parable. A person had traveled a long way in the desert and was feeling weary, hungry, and thirsty. Suddenly, the traveler came upon a tree covered with broad leaves that provided shade, filled with sweet fruits, and watered by a brook that flowed nearby. The traveler rested in the tree's shade, ate of its fruits, and drank its water. About to leave, the traveler turned to the tree and said, 'O tree, beautiful tree, how shall I bless you? Shall I wish that your shade is pleasant? It's already pleasant. Shall I say that your fruits should be sweet? They are sweet. Shall I ask that a brook flow by you? A brook does flow by you. Therefore, I will bless you this way. May it be God's will that all the shoots taken from you be just like you.' So it is with you," Rabbi Isaac said to Rabbi Naaman. "What can I wish you? Shall I wish you Torah wisdom? You have Torah wisdom. Sustenance, you have sustenance. Children, you have children. Therefore I say, may it be God's will that all whom you have a chance to influence be like you."
Okay, so beautiful. So you said that at Ilana's bat mitzvah, and it's very appropriate.
Some form of it, but Susan was the one who mentioned this parable to me, and we looked it up together or something. So thank you for sharing that again.
Okay, again, thank you for teaching. Okay, moving on to the next page, finding God in nature. And maybe I'll read the first one, in the upper left. I see you in the starry field. I see you in the harvest field. In every breath, in every sound, an echo of your name is present. Sorry. The blade of grass, simple flower, bear witness to your matchless power. In wonder workings or some bush of flame, we look for God and fancy you concealed. But in earth's common things you stand revealed, while grass and flowers and stars spell out your name. That's Rabbi Abraham Ibn Ezra. Okay, and number two. Okay, by the way, just seeing on my screen, one page not able to shift it. So if there's anybody on here who hasn't been called upon, please let me know, and I'll be happy to let some others do it. Give some talk. Okay. So number 6, Yossi, if you can read that, it's the Reb Nachman, very important ones to see this group.
Yeah.
Number 6, the upper right.
Number
Yeah.
6.
Yeah.
Master of the universe, grant me the ability to be alone. May it be my custom to go outdoors each day, among the trees and grass, among all growing things, and there may I be alone and enter into prayer, to talk with the one to whom I belong. May I express there everything in my heart, and may all the foliage of the field, all grasses, trees, and plants awake at my coming. To send the powers of the life into the words of my prayer, so that my prayer and speech are made whole through the life and spirit of all growing things, which are made as one by their transcendent source. May I then pour out the words of my heart before your presence like water, O Lord, and lift up my hands to you in worship on my behalf and on that of my children. Rabbi
Okay.
Nachman of Breslau.
And as you know, we live in a world now where most Jews live in cities. We don't get out to nature that much. But I know in Israel, that's really an exception because Israelis are always taking hikes and seeing, loving the country and seeing all parts of it. Okay. I'll read number 2. In order to serve God, one needs access to the enjoyment of the beauties of nature, such as the contemplation of flower-decorated meadows, majestic mountains, flowing rivers, etc. For all these are essential to the spiritual development of even the holiest of people. Again, many indications it's good to get out to nature. I know the Breslov Hasidim, they are famous for their prayers outdoors and getting close to God. It's very important. Okay.
I just want to mention one thing that really just jumped out at me about my daughter Alana, and the tree and Rabbi Nachman. She just married into a family named Nachman, so I thought that was very special. But because of the 2 readings about Rabbi Nachman and the one that Yossi just read, so it really made me feel very kind of divine, shared, beautiful.
Okay, and of course, Ilana is a Hebrew word for a tree.
For tree, and
Right.
then she married. I actually mentioned the name. I don't know if anyway, I think that's special that she married into the family of named Nachman. Yeah.
Okay, yes, good. Listen, let's see. I think we've read everything on this page. Anybody any time has a comment to get anything? Okay, we're now on page 8. Again, prophetic readings, the prophets, of course, what's to say about trees and also. Okay, number 1 and 2, since it's short, will be Yossi. I'll read 1 and 2 again because they're will be short.
My people shall build the waste cities and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and drink its wine, and they shall also make gardens and eat its fruit. And the tree of the field shall yield its fruit, and the earth shall yield her increase, and they shall be safe in their land, and shall know that I am the Lord. And they shall no more be a prey to the nations, but they shall dwell safely, and none shall make them afraid.
Hey, thank you. Those multiple readers here. Okay, so I'm going to read number 3. Very important prophetic teaching in the end of Isaiah. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn it more and more. We're in a tremendous prophetic dream, time where too much violence, too many wars. But they shall sit every person under a vine and fig tree. Is our connection with trees. None shall make them afraid. For all peoples will walk every one in the name of his God, and will walk in the name of the Lord our God forever and ever. Again, Prophet Micha. I think Isaiah has things very, very similar to that. Okay, so number 4, the prayer, if you read that, Appreciate it. And number four.
Number 4, you want me to read?
Yeah,
um,
yeah.
Tu Shabbat anticipates the final redemption, the return to Israel, and the return to the Garden of Eden. Behold, the days are coming, says the Lord, when the plowman shall overtake the reaper and the treader of grapes, him who sows the seed. The mountains shall drip with sweet wine, and the hills shall flow with it. I will restore the fortunes of my people Israel, and they shall rebuild the ruined cities and inhabit them. They shall plant vineyards and drink their wine, and they shall make gardens and eat their fruit. I will plant them upon their land, and they shall never again be plucked up out of the land which I have given them, says the Lord your God. Amos 9:13-15.
Thank you very much. And again, as I mentioned, the 4 cups of wine, grape juice, and the 4 fruit. So with this third one, I don't recall, I'm looking here, and I see that I have a date because maybe might have accidentally skipped that before. So again, the first fruit, outer shell, the second one with the pit, and of course the date is one of the 7 species. So let's take a look at that, since that would be the second one. And as I said, third cup of grape juice or wine, half white, half red. And moving through the seasons, that one represents the summer. And so, okay, well, going down here, okay. So the third cup, again, this is based on the 4 mystical years of the Acropolis to restore the Tu B'Shvat Seder. And again, blessing, we said the blessing at the beginning. Really very sweet. And I'm not a wine drinker, so I can have a great juice. And now the third kind of fruit has neither an outer shell or a pit. So I have here 2 examples from grapes I'm having now, and some raisins. Again, no wonderful fruit. Okay. Oh, let's see. So, page 8, prophetic readings. And
They're delicious dates.
here we go. I'll just read one more from page 8. Those are these prophetic dreams, and it should only come true. And the prophetic dream of war, the world at peace. Number 6. I will plant cedars in the wilderness, and acacias, and myrtles, and oleanders. I will set cypress in the desert, but trees and elms as well, that people may see and know, consider and comprehend that God's hand has done this, that the Holy One of Israel has brought it. Okay, and we're going to move on. Page 9. And this is, like I said, 4 tikkun, and the last one is that more and more Tu B'Shvat is becoming more and more popular, even among the less religious, and more Tu B'Shvat Seder, especially here where I am in Israel. And so we have some ecological connections. And maybe I'll read the first one, which is a very powerful midrash. When God created the first human beings, God led them around the Garden of Eden and said, "Look at my works. See how beautiful they are, how excellent. For your sake I created them all. See to it that you do not spoil and destroy the world, my world. For if you do, there will be no one else to repair it." But that was a time when it's just one human being, Adam. So that who will be there to repair it? And maybe thousands of years even, people wondered, could we really destroy the world? Unfortunately, today, becoming all too possible as we see the world heating up. And by the way, 2024 the hottest year in recorded history, and it surpassed the year before, 2023. So 2 consecutive years it broke temperature records. And by the way, the amazing thing, from June 2023 to June 24, 13 consecutive months, every single one of them broke the temperature record. Okay, so that's number 4, 2 sayings that two extremes within teachings in Judaism. So, Yossi, if you could read number 4 to 2 verses.
Be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth and subdue it. Have dominion of every living thing. And God took Adam and placed him in the Garden of Eden to cultivate and to protect it.
Okay, so the first verse is probably one of the most misinterpreted. That we have dominion, and many people take it, well, in that case, we can pretty much do whatever we want. But the sages interpret that dominion as responsible stewardship or guardianship. So it really is an indication that we should respect the world. And the second one may be even more important, that God took Adam and said, you have to cultivate, work the land, but also to protect it. So we are supposed to be Shomrei Ha'adamah, guardians of the earth, partners and co-workers with God in protecting the environment. And unfortunately, that's not been happening. Okay, now, over 25 years ago, there was a scientific warning to humanity, and it's been updated and and this shows that so many years ago we realized how dangerous things are. And unfortunately, not enough has been done to follow up on that. So I'm going to read a warning in the introduction to that scientist warning to humanity. So number 2, we the undersigned, senior members of the world scientific community, and by the way, it has 104 Nobel Prize winners in science. We hereby warn all humans, maybe 30 years or something, what lies ahead. A great change in our stewardship of the earth and life on it is required if there's human misery is to be avoided, and our global home on this planet not to be irretrievably utilized. And the introduction reinforcing that human beings and the natural world are on a collision course. Human activities inflict harsh and often irreversible damage on the environment and on critical resources. If not checked, many of our current practices put at serious risk the future that we wish for human society and the plant and animal kingdoms, and may so alter the living world that will be unable to sustain life in the manner that we know. Fundamental changes are urgent if we are to avoid the collision our present course will bring about. So again, unfortunately, we haven't made the fundamental changes. There have been improvements, by the way. We're moving more and more to solar energy and to wind power, some positive things, but maybe not enough. And there are increasingly dire warnings from climate experts that we may soon reach a tipping point where the climate spins out of control. The way in the Paris conference in 2015, they indicated that we try to avoid passing 2 degrees Celsius from the time of the Industrial Revolution, and even more so 1.5. This year, for the first time, the world passed an increase in temperature of 1.5 degrees Celsius, and unfortunately, it was just 1.1 degrees just maybe 5 years ago. So this is the great challenge of our time, and what I've been trying to promote, again, with that teaching, as we said before, God's initial dietary regimen, strictly vegan, talking about herbs of the field, the fruits from the trees. And so it's more and more urgent that everything possible be done to avert a climate catastrophe. The most important thing is a shift toward plant-based vegan diets two important reasons. One is that the animals give off methane, and methane is at least 80 times as powerful as carbon dioxide per unit weight in heating up the atmosphere. And more important than that, especially for tuber spot, is that the trees are being destroyed, have been destroyed for many years in order to create grazing land and land to grow feed crops for animals. And because of that, there used to be 6 trillion trees 10,000 years ago when animal agriculture first started. That has gone down in half to about 3 trillion trees. And probably as we speak, trees in the Amazon and other rainforests are being destroyed. So that is the urgent thing. It's difficult to get that to happen, but people should realize more and more that there has to be a shift to a plant-based diet. Unfortunately, it would make it much easier to nowadays because there's an increasing abundance of substitutes that have the texture, appearance, and taste so close to meat of animal products that even long-time media can't tell the difference. So this is the urgent task. That's why it's so important that there be more and more tuber spot sages and more indications again that God put the human being Garden of Eden to work the land, but to also protect it, to guard it. So pardon me for that sort of long diversion, but that is the reality, and that's an important lesson in tuber spot. And luckily, as I said before, it's becoming more and more popular, and hopefully that will continue because that is essential. Okay, so one of the very strong Jewish teachings regarding the environment is in number 5. So Jesse, if you could read number 5.
When you besiege a city many days to bring it into your power by making war against it, you shall not destroy the trees thereof by swinging an axe against them. From them you may eat, but you may not destroy them. For it is the tree of the field, human to withdraw before you. This prohibition serves as the foundation for an important principle of Jewish law, Bal Tashchit. The needless destruction of anything is wrong. Various interpretations of this principle in the Talmud.
But that's the important Jewish teaching, Bal Tashchit, as the basis of it, Deuteronomy chapter 29, verses 19 to 20. And I think the most important thing our sages did, they took this very specific mitzvah, let's say, and it talks about wartime, it talks about using an axe and destroying fruit-bearing trees, but the sages extended this into that general principle of Bal Tashchit, that we are not to destroy, not to waste or necessarily destroy anything of value. Unfortunately, as we know, we have a world of waste and destruction, and so we just had a prayer person, by the way, in the dryer, thank God it worked, but he mentioned that nowadays, if somebody gets a new dryer, it will only last maybe about 3 years. So we have this, someone called it planned obsolescence, and more and more birds on the garbage field extending. And I just noticed number 6 sort of reinforces that point I said. You mentioned the Talmud extensively, also Maimonides. So the Torah talks about just trees and an axe in wartime. But if it's true in wartime, it can be more true even if not. So number 6, Maimonides said, not only one who cuts down trees, but also one who smashes household goods, tears clothing unnecessarily, demolishes a building, stops up a spring, or destroys articles of food with destructive intent, transgresses the command, you must not destroy. Such a person is not flogged, but is administered a disciplinary beating posed by the rabbis. It's under these Mishnah Torah. And also, many rabbis talked about the the great importance of that. And I was looking at Samuel Wakefield Hurst, who has in number 7 pointed out how important that is. He said the text becomes the most comprehensive warning to human beings not to misuse the position which God has given them as masters of the world, and it matters by capricious, passionate, or merely thoughtless, wasteful destruction of anything on earth. Only for wise use has God laid the world at our feet. So God has given us all kinds of resources. We should use them, but consider that it should be used thoughtfully and not wastefully. Okay, maybe we'll just have the final reading. This is so important. It's about the Jewish environmental teachings, and more important they be applied today. So, Yossi, if you could read number 8, the
Yeah.
final saying.
The purpose of this mitzvah, do not destroy, is to teach us to love that which is good and worthwhile and to cling to it, so that good becomes a part of us and we will avoid all that is evil and destructive. This is the way of the righteous and those who improve society, who love peace and rejoice in the good in people and bring them close to the Torah. That nothing, not even a grain of mustard, should be lost to the world, that they should regret any loss or destruction that they see, and if possible, they will prevent any destruction that they can. Not so are the wicked, who are like demons, who rejoice in destruction of the world, and they are destroying themselves. ספר החינוך.
Many thanks to you and all the readers. Okay, the final page just had some songs, and maybe we just from one song to sort of end this. If anybody has any comments, suggestions, to make after the song, feel free to make it. So the first song, Arta Areno, relates to how we should rate the environment, to growing the type of food, etc. So feel free to join in on this. And my voice, especially now, it's my 90th birthday. It's not that great to say the least, but just sing that as a concluding part. So, Arta Areno, Arta Areno, Arta Areno. Tomorrow, new becomes a brand new. Tomorrow, new becomes a brand new. And we have the translation below. We've come up to the land. We have tilled the soil and sown the seed. We have yet to harvest our crop. So that will be done. So, one of the main things. Yes, we can, all the readers, and hopefully, this Kubicon Theta, many others, lead to the changes necessary to help avert a climate catastrophe and leave a habitable, healthy, environmentally sustainable world for future generations. Anybody want to add anything, any story about Tu B'Shvat, or any suggestions, any comments?
I just want to say happy Tu B'Shvat to everybody.
Well, it's wise to keep me in good ways, hopefully.
Samea. This
This
is my beautiful Aunt Loretta too. And thank you for sharing, and to see David is inspiring, and Susan, and it's a great way to see my family.
Yeah. Hi, Fran.
Meaningful, beautiful Seder. I'm so glad we recorded it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the rest of wonderful daughters and her husband. And all the best to all Haksameh, Todel Bug,
Sameach.
and I told
Yes.
Sameach. Yeah,
Yasha
Dad, I'm sorry
Kama.
if you called on me and I wasn't here at one point. I had a really important phone call and I walked away, so I apologize to everybody. But I came right back.
No, but
Yeah.
Susan, did you hear that because you weren't there, I got the honor to read the parable about the tree about the shade of the tree that you shared with me about for a lot of bar mitzvah when
No, I think
made-
I was back for that one. I think I was back
Yes,
for that.
you-
Yeah.
That's
I
the
heard
one
that,
that you
yeah.
shared with me. So you've taught me a
Yes.
lot, and now I had the beautiful memory of that and getting to read it in this special day. So yeah, I'm looking at some beautiful trees out my window here in South Florida. Also a picture of my mother in front of me, my Uncle Richard's big sister. So,
Okay,
okay.
thanks to all.
Okay.
Shalom.
Happy Tu
Well, I
B'Shvat,
hope-
everybody.
Okay, be well. So good to see you, and may we share only special simchas and good news.
Your mouth, Hashem, here.
Okay,
David, you're muted, David. I don't know if you can fix it. You're muted, yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
what did you say?
He was saying something, but he's muted, yeah.
Who was muted?
Still muted.
I think he was saying Happy
Oh,
Tu
no.
B'Shvat. I think. I don't know. Yeah? Okay.
yeah,
Okay,
okay.
all the best,
Okay.
signing off.
Good night.
Enjoy the,
Good night, everybody.
enjoy the rest of Tu B'Shvat. Shalom.
Good night.
Good night.
Thank
Good
you
night.
for
Again,
recording it, Yossi.
many thanks to Yossi for hosting this and screen sharing for us. Okay, all the best.
Thanks for this in these challenging times. Thanks.
And you'll be sharing the recording somehow, I hope.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank
I
you.
Thank you, Yossi.
Yeah, other people may want to
Mhm.
watch it too. Yeah, bye-bye.
Okay.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Lila Tov.